Imagine you're driving. It's a pleasant summer evening, and you're admiring the scenery and thinking about your destination. But then the car begins to have problems. The engine starts smoking, and the gears begin to grind. You pull over to check what's wrong, calling for assistance and eventually getting your vehicle to a repair shop. The mechanic starts to take a look at it, and you help out from the side. Is it the wheels? Is it the engine, the transmission? Maybe the lights are not working very well, or the fluids need replenishing. Before long, you're looking into every possible scenario and troubleshooting what could be wrong with your vehicle and how to get it back on track. By now, you've forgotten about your destination, and you're barely even thinking about where you were going or why. You're just trying to get the car working. Fast forward a few years down the road, and the entire vehicle has been redesigned to avoid further problems. The tires have been improved, the liquid intake has been perfected, and the transmission and engine have been upgraded and made into a beautiful, well-functioning machine that won't have problems again. Safety is at a paramount, and many added features have been put into the car, including technology, videos, greens, and all sorts of little bells and whistles. Driving has become a real pleasure, and now you can go almost anywhere you want, but you don't remember where you're even trying to go or why. You still look around at the beautiful scenery, you see some wonderful architecture passing by, but you barely have time to notice it, and you're checking your screen and cell phone and listening to Bluetooth calls and trying to check what's going on. What's my point? This is something I call the driver theory, and it's an idea I've batted around for a few years now. The main point is that a car is a machine like a society, and the people in it are the passengers. But who's driving the car, and where are they going? No matter how well a society functions or how poorly, what is the actual purpose of it, and what is the telos or meaning behind it? In other words, what separates a civilization from a place where people just happen to live? What separates a body of citizens and patriots from a group of people who pay taxes because they're scared of the police? In the above example, we see how trying to fix the problems with the car and tinkering away at the different aspects of it actually leads to a distraction from what the car is really for. And I think we see that a lot in modern societies, where you have safetyism and policy upgrades and changes and bitter debates over marriage and gender and economics and racism and abortion and every important subject. But behind all of that is the deeper issue of what the society is actually for and what's guiding it and what you should live up to. Now, for the millions of people who follow traditional religions or a set, structured spiritual path, there are answers to that. However, that is not something that any longer shapes the entire ethos of society, especially on the international stage or domestic stage of most modern nations. And at that point, you get the question of where is the meaning in the society? In other words, who's driving the car? If you have an amazing economy, but everyone's depressed, what is the point of that amazing economy? If you have a beautiful, spiritually enlightened society full of people who are dirt poor, has it truly succeeded at a deeper level? If you have a society of men and women who hate each other, but the GDP is doing splendidly, is that society meaningful or a success? With the driver theory, I hope to get people thinking about where is the car going and who's driving it, rather than what exactly can be perfected in the machine itself, or the appearance of the driver, or whether the ride is fun, or how nice the scenery is. It's sort of the difference between surface versus depth. And the point is to think about what is the real destination and what is the real intention of the one driving the car. In most modern societies, nowadays, I feel it's clear that the main intention is economics, and the twin corollary of technology, which is an accelerant of economics and of the cult of progress, which is essentially, through large swaths of the left and right, the idea that it's always good to keep pushing boundaries, to keep moving forward, to keep testing, to keep discovering, to keep pushing on. And this is sort of the antipode of the idea of always hewing to tradition and hewing to what's already been done, which also has its own set of drawbacks and can lead to being very blinkered as well. The answer to me seems to be somewhere in a more balanced sense to draw on the wisdom and ancient truths of the past while also finding their relevance and power in the present. So it's not always to push the boundaries, but it's not only to cling to the past. The example in a car might be a driver whose intentions and skills are trusted and whose destination is clear, but who also draws skills are clear, but who also asks for input from passengers and tries to incorporate different points of view and different experiences while still keeping the overall purpose of the trip intact. In this way, I would argue that societies, groups, communities, and people, even families, can avoid putting the cart before the horse and can actually think about the overall purpose of what they're doing rather than just trying to make the ride smoother, more beautiful, more enjoyable, or any other of the subjective or temporary aspects of it. Another way to phrase this also would be to stop thinking about whether the ride is fun or interesting or beautiful at this exact moment and begin focusing more on where it's going. And at the same time, in life in general, to think about what is the purpose or the end mission of this life and what is the deeper telos or theological meaning in a way, rather than what is the outer manifestation or the temporary state that's occurring, so that we can begin basing our actions and decisions and policies on a longer term goal instead of just responding reactively to what's around us at any given moment. The best case scenario is that we grow together with technology and become more competent and more empowered going forward. The worst case is that we become a self-driving society run by people with disempowering intentions who want to basically foster a civilization of NPCs for a purely materialistic and shallow vision of the future, a transhumanist vision of the future.